Give everybody a chance at 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first one that I've got for you, gentlemen, is a charge of creating unnecessary crisis at the expense of focusing on legitimate city business. And when I read these, they're very vague to me, and I guess I'm not here with you, but these are pretty vague. So can you be as specific as you can with us, because I think it's important that we understand what this means by creating unnecessary crisis at the expense of focusing on legitimate city business. Bill Kangas, we'll start with you.
Well, as you can see from the packets, we have got our work done. The meetings have taken longer because we've asked a lot of questions. The former council I was on didn't ask as many questions, but we also had a lot of packets like that. But we got our work done, and we have now focused on our work, but also we focused on other issues, and you kind of see some of it here tonight. So I don't think there is any crisis that was created by the council. I think we just have to deal with it, and if it takes longer to get our work done, it does. I put in 20 to 40 hours a week, and I work full time, but we still get our work done. As you can see, all these packets of work have been done. And so there's no work that is undone in this, as far as I'm concerned, with this council.
Mark, your comments on that? Again, try to be as specific as you can for us. What does it mean creating unnecessary crisis at the expense of focusing on legitimate city business?
The crisis to me is a little bit of I'm not quite sure what is meant by that, just as you're not quite sure is meant by that. And actually who caused the crisis? I mean, I can make, I think, as strong a case that if the crisis that there is, which is basically the termination of the city manager, that's the crisis everybody's talking about. That, as far as how it was handled, was actually, I feel, created the crisis. Part of that was created by the other side. I actually received a email from, I think it was Denver, Colorado, I think within a day and a half of having a private meeting to try and avert this crisis or try and avoid this crisis. And here I had a gentleman's agreement on a silent meeting, and tried to negotiate out a situation to avoid this crisis. And here I know I'm sure nobody from the council leaked this information, but here I go to the local coffee shop and I read an email about the meeting from I don't know who actually. So as far as leaking things to the press, I think it's, and I hate to use the word the other side because I'd like to think there's only one side, but I think it was possibly the other side. And as Bill has noted, if the camera could go down and look at those packets, that's the packets of the work that we've completed this 6 months. So none of that is involved in crisis. All that is just standard work that comes, and I think Donna probably does a lot of the typing. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, the staff does a lot of typing, so you can see the work that they did, but we have to do that work also. So we've completed. There hasn't been one issue that I know of that's come forward that we haven't addressed. So the second part of the charge, even if the crisis does exist, the second part of the charge is definitely false.
Okay, Rob Powell, you want to address that again? Create an unnecessary crisis at the expense of focusing on legitimate city business is the charge.
Well, I too would like to know specifically what that charge means, and it would be great if the other side was here so that we could get a clarification. How could people be expected to vote on that if there's no clarification? But I can guess what they mean, and I would guess the same thing that Mark did. I would also say, though, that with regards to working on city business, we already got a picture of the packets and all the things that we've had to study and the work that we've put in. I believe that we just put in a lot of extra time to be able to do our work and have to handle this crisis that came to us. And I really believe that in late January, the City Council was given a letter and basically put on notice. There was a law firm mentioned in that letter, Stoll Reeves, a very big firm out of Portland, and immediately our city attorneys sat up and took notice. And they felt that that was a crisis because they realized that Stoll Reeves had significant firepower that our local attorneys could not match. They recommended that a certain firm out of Portland, Howard Rubin, come down and help represent the council. They recommended he come down. They flew him down for executive sessions with the council. We actually met with the city attorneys in private meetings in the city attorney's offices, 4 councilors at a time or less, to discuss things with Howard Rubin. The city attorneys characterized this as a crisis situation that they needed help with. And they didn't use the word crisis, but it was something that they felt that the council, in order to properly represent the council, they should hire outside legal help. So that, I'm going to guess, is the crisis that's being referred to. I don't believe we created or that I created that crisis. I think that that crisis came onto my desk on January 26th when I was presented with a letter. In any event, we're doing our best. We continue to do our best to continue to finish our work. It has required a lot of extra time on everyone's part, and I believe that we are still getting through the work, as well as hopefully putting the worst of the crisis behind us.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ward. Same thing, that question that survives us there. Go ahead.
I think the crisis that they're referring to is really, it was a personnel issue that we had to deal with. We had no choice. We had a personnel issue that we needed to deal with. We dealt with it in the best way that we knew how. And I would defy anyone to say whenever there's a change of administration, I don't care whether it's local, state, or federal, when does a new administration not make some changes in staff? I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. It doesn't matter whether it's at the federal level or the state level. You need to have staff that you trust, that you can work with, and that carries things out as they should. And if that's not there, there's a problem. So I think the crisis is that there is a contingent of people in the community that were not happy that 4 new councilors were elected, and those 4 new councilors asked a lot of questions and asked for information and wanted the will of the people to be honored. And I think that's what they view as the crisis, is the fact that we've asked questions and we are trying to listen to the will of the people. And I feel this recall attempt is very simply retribution. And I think it's obvious by the 1 empty seat here, which would be the other new elected councilor would be Councilor Michelin, who did not vote to override the veto on the termination. And he was let off the hook by the recallers. And, I think it's very pure and simple retribution.
Next. Okay. Let's try to keep that down there. Next question we've got is for 3 of the 4 on their petitions to do this, Mark, Rob, and Ward, was a charge that says charging you with misleading voters with false campaign promises. Now, I've covered elections, a lot of elections for a lot of years. I ran myself once, so this is, again, to me, it's pretty vague. So what do they mean here by what campaign promises did you promise that have now turned false? Ward, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, I actually just looked at these charges. I hate to admit it, but about an hour before I came to the meeting tonight, and I dug out